What I want you to do is to pay close attention to those that came along with you. That means people that have remained with you past few years or maybe past decades or maybe 2 decades. I want you to examine them because not everyone that remains with you is sent by God. Okay, let me say this one more time. Not everyone that remains with you is sent by God. A lot of folks have this idea when people leave you, well, it was never meant to be. And when they stay, embrace it. Even pagans don't really think that way. That mentality to just embrace things, well, however they come, is foolish. Because what if it's the paranormal that influences things in such a way and they come to you? Are you going to embrace it also? Look, you will have folks that remain with you, not because they are for you, not because they're actually with you in their mission, but because the enemy traps them with you, so the enemy will have easy access to you when the enemy wants. So you need to use discernment when it comes to your human relationships. Yes, people that come along with you, they have their issues that they need to work through because they're born in a fallen world just like you were born in a fallen world. Okay? And if they are believers, they're under attack also, so they need to process things also. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is when you have people that remain with you, but you don't see any actual development happening with them, and you notice that they have this way of thinking despite all the time that cannot be reconciled with Christ. For example, if you have someone that talks about going to a church building all the time, they may have been indoctrinated into thinking that that's God's will. In the beginning, okay, you can tolerate it because they have to unlearn it, they don't know any better. But after a few months or even a year, you should question, is this individual really interested in learning? Are they really interested in letting go? Or are they a liability that the enemy wants to keep around me? It can be that they're slow learners, and maybe it can take maybe 2 or 4 or 5 years before it gets through to them. Maybe that's the case. Maybe they are slow learners. But if they're slow learners, okay, then they're slow learners. Okay, but the enemy can even use slow learners to hold you back. It can be that you've been delivered from this false teaching that you need to give honor to your parents unconditionally. So no matter how abusive, how wrong your parents are, you ought to honor, you ought to allow them to have access to you, no matter what. You found out this is garbage. You found out um, this is a filthy teaching that pagan Christianity forced on people's throat. So now you tell one of your associates to cut off his mother. Not because you want to tell him what to do, but you explained unto him, your mother is quite narcissistic, she's quite toxic, and she keeps complaining all the time. You are a grown man, or if it's a woman, a grown woman, you shouldn't tolerate this. Even when you're a kid, you shouldn't tolerate it because you shouldn't treat your children like that anyway. Let's say the individual admits to you, yes, you're telling it, what you're saying is true. My parents shouldn't treat me like that. But they don't let go of that parent. Okay, it can be difficult. It's one of your parents. Maybe it's a mom or your mom or your dad, or it can be difficult to distance yourself from those people. Even when it's obvious that you're better off without them, even if they're toxic or even if they're playing evil. It's still difficult because you're parents. You should have empathy and understanding for that. But after 1 or 2 years, they're still holding on to that parent, knowing that parent is out of line, knowing that the parent will have a bad influence upon them. Sooner or later, that toxicity of that parent will be transferred onto you, because they are sucking up the. Okay, maybe that sounds a bit wrong, but okay, they are embracing the toxicity of that parent, so they now become toxic, And when you are with them, that toxicity will affect you. So then the enemy will use that individual who doesn't want to let go of that reprobate parent to harm you, or to hinder you, or to cause trouble with you. So I'm telling you, pay attention to those that came along with you. Don't think, they've remained with me, so they are loyal. Even if they are loyal to you, okay, let's think deep with this. Even if they are loyal to you, that doesn't matter. Are they loyal to Christ? Are they loyal to the truth? Are they realistic? You can have demons that are loyal to you. Let me tell you. Oh, some say, Rashid, you're going too far now. No. Listen to what I'm saying. There are even demons that are loyal to you. This is another trick the enemy is using. The enemy doesn't want you to rely on Christ, nor his power. The enemy wants you to rely on his counterfeit, which is the paranormal. So if you are a believer and you want to walk by faith, but you still have those church doctrines that don't add up, the enemy is going to assign demonic principalities to you to assist you. And when you're praying in the wrong way, according to those church doctrines, those demons will act on your behalf. And those demons will be dedicated to you. Those demons will make things happen for you. If you want to get a job, you get a job quickly. You want to find a spouse, the spouse just appears out of nowhere without you asking for it. And he or she is everything you ever wanted. So things just happen for you. And you think it's because you're blessed. But in fact, it was the enemy the whole time. You can have demons that are loyal to you and dedicated to you. But is that good company? No. Even if they're loyal to you and they have the best intentions for you, if they are not in line with Christ, the enemy can use them. And if they're not in line with Christ, the enemy can use them as time bombs. Okay, I want to give an illustration to you because I want you to understand what I'm saying here. Let's say let's say that you are married. Okay, I'm going to use a marriage example now because some of you may recognize yourself in this. You have two friends that you know since high school. You're good with them. Okay, and they also go to church. They also talk about Christ. So you think, okay, they're fine. Let's say that one day you find out that something's wrong with your spouse. It is as if you're dealing with something completely different. Now, what's going on is, I'm not saying this is the case with you. This is not a prophecy I'm making about any of my followers. It's just an example I'm giving you. Okay, let's say now that you're now figuring out that your spouse is a reprobate. She's a narcissistic, sociopathic female that actually lied to you the whole time. And you're about to find out that she had affairs here and there. She was lying behind your back. She even filed reports of rape against you. So now there's even a police investigation going on against you. You're not even aware of it. But you sense now something's wrong with your spouse. You have those two buddies who remained with you. And they even talk about Christ, even go to church. And they're married also, right? But those two guys that are your buddies, they have this feministic way of thinking in which the woman is always right. The female is always the victim. Anytime there's trouble, even if a female does something wrong, it must be the man that made her do it. Or the man must deserve it. So they have this feministic thinking that their mothers conditioned them with. But they are not delivered from it. But apart from that, they're good friends with you. They're supporting you. They were there for you when you had a financial difficulty. So you think those guys are good. They stayed with me, they're loyal. Hold on. When it comes to the light, who your wife really is, and you say, okay, I want to divorce her because I want my children to be safe, because she's not safe to be around, and you tell your buddies about this, they will tell you, oh, John, let's say your name is John, you are exaggerating. She's a woman, you're the man. Happy wife, happy life. She's not happy, it's because of you. You need to do something better. Instead of them facing the facts and telling you, John, you're telling the truth. We checked the situation also, and indeed, her behavior doesn't add up. Record her behavior, give it to the court of law, file for divorce. You'll get it because you have evidence. Ask for custody for the children, and then you take legal action against her. That's what I should do. But because they're loyal to society, their loyalty to you is only valid for them as long as it supports their loyalty to society. And society, with its feministic influences, condition them that the woman is never wrong. That anytime a woman is in pain, it's because she's a victim. Even when she is out of line openly, it's because some man caused it. And those bodies of yours have that way of thinking, right? You get it already. Now, when that narcissistic, sociopathic wife turns on you, they will support her. Why? Because the wives they're married to also have this feministic thinking, and their wives are complaining about you now. So sooner or later, those friends, even though they will still try to help you, they're not actually helping you. They're now using you to keep the sympathy of society. So they will work against you while they think they're helping you. So now the enemy is using them to bring you down. But you think, how could those two men do this? We know each other since high school. We've been through a lot. They were my bros. No, you got it wrong. They were loyal to society. Society is who they worship. And the reason they were so good with you is because you matched the expectation of society. But now that you go through a situation that reveals that society is wrong, now they can't remain loyal to you anymore. So their loyalty to you was based on a wrong foundation. It wasn't based on Christ. Even though they claimed the name of Christ, they were not in alignment with him. So those two bodies, were they an asset for you or a liability? A liability. So wouldn't it have been better if years before you would have lost them? Yes. Or you would have distanced yourself from them in a polite and peaceful manner? Yes. But too often people only look at, I'm saying this, too often people look at things and examine things based on their own understanding. I'm telling you, be Christ-centered. Examine things from his point of view, based on his ambition and his expectations. So let me give another example. I'm going to use a female example now. I don't want to exclude the ladies that are watching this video. Let's say now you are, okay, let me give a good example. Let's say you have a child, okay? And the child has some behavior problems at school. And now you want to know what's going on, okay? So you and your husband talk about this to some friends of yours. But those friends of yours, even though they claim the name of Christ, are not in line with Christ. So they tell you, you need to go to a child psychiatrist, this and that, you need to get medication, because that's a common thing, you give children medication. But then, a cousin of yours tells you, don't do it. Those medications that they will give to your son, the military categorizes them in the same category as cocaine, heroin, and other forms of hard drugs. They have the same effect on the body. So your son will be getting high multiple times a day, and that will calm him down. Later in life, he will have faced a lot of problems with this. But those other friends of yours tells you, this is what the experts say, do it. So what happens now is that you're being influenced by those people against the well-being of your offspring, but those people are not aware that they're being used by the enemy to harm your son. Because the enemy plans to use your son later as a time bomb. So the enemy caused a shock in your child at school. So your child is shocked due to the behavior of some teacher who's demon possessed. And now you think, based on society, there's some behavioral problem, he needs to have a child psychiatrist, since he has medicine or pills. You get along with what society tells you, and your friends who remained with you, who are loyal to you, tell you that's the best thing to do. But they don't know any better. They're brainwashed by society. So now the enemy is using those friends to harm your son in the long run, so that Satan can have a hold of your son. So were those people good for you? No, they were not. You are far better off without them. Or let me give another example. Let's say that um, you're going through a lot of hardship. Everything goes wrong in your life, literally everything. You lost your job, you're about to be kicked out of your apartment, and um, some of your friends don't want to talk to you anymore. And then you have this pen pal that you've met several times, and she tells you, Brianna, you need to go see a psychic. And the psychic will work, but now you're trapped in relying on demons without you being aware of it. So that pen pal that remained with you was not good for you. Look, I'm not telling you to be stone cold towards everyone that's an unbeliever, or everyone that isn't renewed in their mind. I'm not telling you to do that, absolutely not. But pay close attention to those that remained with you. Just because they remained with you doesn't mean they're sent by God. When the Israelites left Egypt and they crossed the Red Sea, the succeeding Pharaoh, the Pharaoh that succeeded in Egypt, sent magicians, warlocks, and witches after them. And those folks influenced the Israelites there in the desert. They also contributed to the unbelief of the Israelites, which led to the Israelites wandering in the desert for 40 years. When Christ was walking around, there were crowds following Christ besides the apostles. But Christ didn't pay attention after those crowds, because Satan was sending people after Christ to hinder Christ. Don't you remember that Judas remained with Christ? But he ended up betraying him, selling him out. Now all the disciples failed, but Judas betrayed him, because the disciples found themselves in a situation that they couldn't manage by themselves. And God wanted this to happen so they would learn to rely on His power, not on their own strength. That's what happened to Peter when people denied him 3 times. That's what happened to all the apostles. They came to a situation they couldn't handle by their own human strength. And God wanted that to happen so that they would rely on Him. And after the cross, when Christ rose again, oh, nothing could stop the apostles. So the apostles faced a trial to so that they would unlearn self-reliance and rely on Christ. That's not the case with Judas. Judas sold him out, and he was one of the few that remained with Christ. Just because people remain with you doesn't mean they're sent by God. Now, not everyone will sell you out like Judas willingly. Some will sell you out without them being aware of it, while they think they're doing the right thing for you. Please, examine those that remain with you. Just because they remain with you doesn't mean they are a blessing. It doesn't mean it's God's will. Okay, I'm going to close this video and continue this part before, but I'm going to say this before I do that. There are going to be good people of good quality that God will remove from you. Why? Because either you would rely too much on their support, which means that they will hinder you in relying on Christ completely. Because sometimes when we have people of good quality around us, we feel so comfortable because we have people with good quality around us. There's nothing wrong with wanting or longing for people around you of good quality. That's a healthy thing. But having much of those people around may hinder you in relying on Christ. Okay? So when God sees that you are tempted to rely on them more than on Him, He will remove them from you for your own benefit. And then there are people of good quality that God will remove from you, because those people are either they're naive, or either they are so brainwashed that in the long run they'll become a stumbling block onto you. Or those people of good quality may become a target in the future, and they're not even aware they are a target, and the people that target them will then turn on you. Because let's say you have people of good quality, but they're not in line with Christ, and they're targeted, but they're around you. That's why they benefit from your protection. Those who come after will come after you too. So God sees everything. So there are going to be people of good quality that God will remove from you. And it will not be your fault. There's nothing to blame concerning you. It's God doing it for your long-term benefit. God is primarily interested in your safety. So even people of good quality can become a snare unto you. So, above all, agree with Christ and be at peace.